Well, hello.
Well, hello.
Hello.
We have a little puppet theater going on, Mike.
Puppet
Manley.
theater. I was getting into our jam.
Yeah.
Our jam.
Bing, 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 bing,
They need to have another one now, though. We need a new.
Yeah,
You know.
I think we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to set that up. We're gonna get that piece of Dave's music in. Maybe we'll do like a little animation intro or something like that.
Here's Johnny. That's what we need.
Speaking of that, I just saw The Shining for the first time. I've never seen The Shining.
How did you avoid that?
Well,
you were scared, weren't you?
It was scary. When is that movie? Do you know the release date of The Shining? It's a
79, 78, 79, because I actually took a date to that movie in high school.
I was 6 years old.
Scatman
Brothers.
Yeah.
Scatman Brothers to see The Shining. This is the part that I'm in. Yeah. I was 6 years old when that came out. And it was
like 7, 16, 15, somewhere there.
It was funny. We were trying to find something like spooky to watch, and I was like, let's watch The Shining. I've never seen The Shining, and I have a very short list of things that I don't know if you have things that you thought you saw, but you really didn't, like Clockwork Orange. I thought I saw that, but I still haven't seen.
Oh, you got to catch up on your Kubrick.
Yeah, I'm behind on my Kubrick, man. You got to get your Kubrick up. You up 2001? You
never seen that?
Yeah, I think I have a Kubrick deficiency.
You've seen Full Metal Jacket
on cable, yeah, but I don't remember it. Yeah, so maybe that's it.
We'll have a Kubrick weekend.
Yeah, let's have a Kubrick Zoom.
Seen Spartacus?
No. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, Spartacus or Caligula?
No, not Caligula. Not the Bob Guccione Caligula. No. And not the Spartacus on whatever it was, Showtime or whatever. Not no, I'm talking about the Kirk Douglas Spartacus.
Oh, no, I don't think I saw that. I don't think that was...
Which was also important because Douglas by hiring Douglas Trumbull, he broke the blacklist in Hollywood.
Wow, that's amazing. You're all full of information tonight, Mike Manley. And let's do an intro for the show. Well, hello to all and sundry. Welcome back to your favorite pandemic podcast, Pencil to Pencil, sponsored by Clip Studio. Hello. Mike, don't upset the sponsors. Let me finish my thing. Is that your reference style?
That's my Thyssen reference. They're good. They're good reference styles.
Clip Studio Paint, made by our good friend the Graphicsly, and also our good buddy John Morrow, who is the mastermind behind Tomorrow's Publishing, the publishing house of Mike Manley's seminal magazine, Draw, with the exclamation point.
And I think John's actually having a sale now on some books. I think like Halloween, spooky related stuff.
Ooh, is a spooky?
I think like Warren Magazine and some of the other books that he's produced. I got an email about that the other day. So you should go to tomorrows.com because he always has some kind of sale going on.
He's always got something popping. That's what I love about John. So yeah, go keep John fed so we can keep making Draw Magazine. And as that, born from Draw Magazine is the sister project, Pencil to Pencil, hosted by your good buddy, Philadelphia's favorite son, and the Black Dick Cavett, Jamar Nicholas. Welcome. I'm joined, as always, by the hip, by my best bud and modern master of comic books, Mike Manley. Say hey, Mike.
Always. Good evening, ladies and joins. And here's the real modern master, Cornwell.
Yeah,
he's a modern master of kitty cats.
I love it. He's a good studio cat. And I want to kind of just get right into it. We have a really great guest hanging out in the green room. We don't like to keep her waiting. We've had a very cool run of guests lately. And then we took a quick respite what's today? Wednesday? Last Saturday, where we did Draw Today, where Mike and I drew live for the podcast, which was a lot of fun. Hope we can do that again. Mike, I want to introduce our guest, Kat Hudson, who is a fantastic illustrator and a character designer and a character lead on a really popular show that's out right now. Do you want to finish the plug for Kat?
Well, she's one of the top designers right now, and working for Warner Brothers. So I was very anxious or excited to talk to her, also because there's not that many female lead designers on a superhero show. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was also interesting because there's also more women getting into animation as there are in comics. And so I would say even in the last 5 or 6 years, you see a lot more women getting into animation. In fact, most of my students were women. You know, the amount of women interested in comics and animation has just exploded. So I thought it would be great to have her on so she could tell us about her journey getting in, and would be, I think, very inspirational for a lot of the young female as well as male artists coming along today. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's bring her on without further ado. Kat Hudson, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Well, hello.
Hello. Hi. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks. We cleaned up for you. I hope you.
Yeah. Fancy.
We straightened up the studio. You know,
your collective studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Good view of my kitchen.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's always that thing where you see somebody's studio when they do an interview, and it's always like really super clean, and you know,
no,
that's not how it
negative.
Really is.
I mean, I live in a tiny apartment, so my studio is a desk that's like in my kitchen. So,
how do you manage that? So you have your and because as we were talking a little bit before the show, everybody is at home now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So suddenly the paper flow that you would normally have, even though I imagine you guys are probably mostly digital, right?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, we sometimes we'll write notes and things on paper, but usually we're digital. Yeah. So that wasn't, I mean, like, it's not that big of a, you know, it's more like I got to have a comfortable desk chair and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, it's fine. It wasn't like reinventing the wheel or anything.
Yeah, I remember when I used to work on the shows back in the day, you know, when you would get your pack, you would get your board. They send me a FedEx box of paper or storyboard paper. You get the script, and then you would, little by little, you would get the models, because they had the original model pack, but then you have the models for each show, which would sometimes also change as you were working on the show. So you would get this huge, by the end of the show, you would have your Xeroxes of your roughs, your Xeroxes of your finished, and then you have your board that you would actually then send to Warner Brothers. And that's back when we were faxing everything.
That's when trees were like just dying left and right, huh? Just money don't grow on trees. But no, it's fine now, because whoever invented Microsoft Teams, their stock must be going through the roof, because that's basically what we use to send stuff is Microsoft Teams or Zoom sometimes. But so we'll send files back and forth. It's like annoying because you have to join a secure server and then you'll get booted off and stuff, but it's not that bad. I actually had to up my internet when the COVID first started. We couldn't, I mean, like, if my husband got on if we had our Alexa plugged in, I couldn't do anything. So now I had to like upgrade my internet. So, you know, other than that, it was fine.
So why don't you tell us the show that you're working on now?
Yes, I am. We're working on season 2 of DC Superhero Girls, and I am the character lead, and that is the show that Lauren Faust helped create at Warner Brothers. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love what I do. You know, I lived in Atlanta for a while, and I worked on the TV show Archer for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I moved out here. So this is like my first big studio. I mean, you know, Floyd County in Atlanta's a studio, obviously, but this is like my first like big studio job. So yay.
Did you go in? Did you go into that studio there to work?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, long story long, me and my husband moved to Atlanta. I mean, I'm from Mississippi. We were depressed, having trouble finding an art job, could not find an art job. Moved to Atlanta on a whim. I started drawing caricatures at Six Flags.
Wow.
That was a whole thing. And then I met somebody there who knows, do you know who Brian Stelfreeze is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he runs like a little drawing class. So I met a friend. We started going there. You know, I met a whole group of people there. Brian, Steen, all his people. And then somebody there was like, "Do you want to work in art?" And I was like, "Yeah." And yeah, sure do. Because I was selling hot tubs and big green eggs, which are like outdoor grills.
Oh yeah, I want a big green egg.
They're awesome grills.
She could probably get you a deal. She gets you a deal.
Man, I worked on commission too, so I was good at it. So anyway, so basically, so I took a test. Somebody worked for Floyd County, and then a girl was leaving to get married. Like she was going to be gone for a little while. So I took a test, got on there. That was in 2015, and then been doing art ever since.
So now, were you originally, like when you were in college or high school, were you aiming to get into the animation business?
No, not animation. Lord have mercy. I thought like this is like magic. Like I was like, no. Number one, I'm from a town of about 150, 200 people. It's not even incorporated. So I did not know any artist or anybody that could draw. But my mom found a guy, and I had to drive 60 miles to go take art lessons. So I did that. And I thought I would do children's book illustrations someday, maybe. This was when I was in high school. And then I went to an art college in Mississippi. A college in Mississippi, and took art. And then I was like, oh, I don't feel very prepared. So I decided to go get my master's of illustration from the Savannah College of Art and Design. So I went there for 2 years. And then I still was not prepared. And I still was trying to get jobs in animation. Not illustration. And I got like little things here and there every once in a blue moon. My style was very different then. And I thought I'd do like editorial illustration. And then I don't know. I'm like kind of a jack of all trades, master of none situation. So I don't. But then I ended up in here. So that was very convoluted.
How would you describe your your illustration style coming out of Savannah? What was it?
When I was. No, I'm from a very small town, and we didn't have a ton of money, so we didn't travel like a lot. But when I was in SCAD, I realized I could take that student loan and I could go over to their France campus for a semester. Same amount of money. So I was like, okay, well, let's do that. And there was I discovered, he's already well known, Egon Chalet. He's like and like that kind of there's like a Marguerite Sauvage. She does like a lot of comic stuff now. Yeah, but there was a few artists that so it was much more like rendered and like line based and stuff. And nothing like, they don't look nothing alike. Like you wouldn't think, if you looked at that, you wouldn't be like, she drew that. But that's I got a few jobs doing stuff like that. So and then I don't know. And then I was like, when I got that job offer, and in order to take that test on Archer, they were like, "Oh, do you know Adobe Illustrator?" And I was like, "I sure do." I did not know Adobe Illustrator. So I signed up for lynda.com. It's like an online, I don't even think it's called that anymore.
Yeah.
And I I watched some videos and I cried, and then
and then you learn. Like crying is teaching, right?
I was like, this is rocket science. So I taught myself Illustrator, and that kind of changed my style some too. So it's evolved over the years. So.
No, do you use Illustrator now?
Sometimes I don't use it as much as I did, but I really like learning it. For a while before animation, I thought maybe I'd do surface design, like patterns and things like that. So I really like, sometimes in the background of pieces, I'll make patterns. And then a lot of the times I'd make shapes in Illustrator and then not shape, texture over them, like paint over them.
Yeah.
So I use clipping mask a lot. That's how I draw most of the time. So yeah, I don't know. I keep looking down, like I don't know where to look. Okay. But anyway, yeah.
I have our first question of the evening. Our good buddy Stunt Ken, what up, Brooklyn? Stunt Ken asks, how was your experience? How was your experience with Brian Stelfreeze? Did you learn anything that you felt elevated your own work?
Oh yeah, like he didn't really like teach the class. I mean, we had a class and it was like nude figure drawing, and then he was over there drawing too, and he would tell us, give us advice and stuff. Man, he gave me so much good advice, and he's such a nice, genuine guy. Like I cannot. And he went to Heroes Con for the first time. I mean, he told me about Heroes Con, and then I met Rico Renzi, who I saw y'all interview. Yeah, Rico's good pal. He invited me. Like, this was when I was like, I ain't nobody. I mean, I'm still not nobody, but But anyway, just like he introduced me to so many people. Steen, his partner, she's like so sweet. They're just like good people. I mean, I didn't know in Photoshop you could like make things grayscale to like look at colors, because I'm teaching myself Photoshop, and I'm like, oh. So Brian like taught me real stupid basic things I should know, but so he's very helpful. He uses clips mostly though, I think. So
one of the things you find out quickly is that comic book folk are like they're really like a family. And I would rather be like, if I leave I don't know what my career future holds, but I really want to do more comic book stuff. I love comic book people. I loved Heroes Con, meeting them, like Canetti, Mindy Lee, Scotty Young, man, all those people. Well, you came in on the top floor, Kat, because
yeah.
I mean, to them, I'm like, but I mean, to me, I'm like, oh, there's Eric Canetti's. Like, he walked up to my table. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think also, just for the fact that your style is so fresh, and people kind of may have said, "Oh, you're one of us." They welcome you in, which is really cool. There's some more questions, and we'll talk some more about your origin story. The patron saint of our podcast, Mama Carla, says, I love the unconventional way you got into the business. Do you work with other women in the business much, or mostly men?
Well, definitely, like when Lauren, okay, this is what happened. I was in Atlanta, and there are a lot of women on Archer. They're like, you'd be surprised. Like, I think one of the leads right now is female. But Archer had already been like 6 seasons when I started or something, so it was pretty well established. But there were, I worked with a lot of like great females, and then I did a Kickstarter for some enamel pins I wanted to do. They were like pin-up girls or something, and Lauren Faust saw them on Kickstarter and sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I was like, I'm being catfished. So she's like the lady that created My Little Pony's Friendship is Magic and stuff like that. So she's really well known in animation. Her husband's Craig McCracken. He did like Powerpuff Girls and Wonder Over Yonder and all that jazz. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So she is a female person I looked up to, character designer, animator, who I looked up to a lot. And then she asked me, she was like, "Oh, I'd love you to come work on my show. Do you live out here?" And I was like, "No, but I would." And she's like, "Oh, could you be out here in like a month?" And I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was like, told my husband, I was like, "You pack up crap. I'm gonna go to LA." And then he drove all the crap out here, so and the cats.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really fast. This was less than a month. I mean, but anyway, so and since then, she hired a lot of women. I mean, there were men on the lead in season 1 was a guy named David Perez, who's really great. He went to go on another project, but she brought in a lot of girls, females, women. so that was great. So I got to meet a lot of great ladies.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say, because we were talking again before we went on, that when I started in '96 on the superhero stuff, I don't think there was one female storyboard artist, but I forget her name.
Oh, geez. It's gotten better.
Right. But at least on those shows, it was not common to have that many women on the crew. But over the next 10 years, the amount of women that went into animation, I think, was greater than the amount of men that went into animation.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Because if I look at the amount of students that I had that were female to men, that the quota of women to men just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I was actually in art school myself, I would say it was easily 60-40 women.
Yeah, like even in I went to school for illustration, but I would say there was maybe more females there than there were dudes in art. But I was one of the younger people in my, like when you're a graduate, I think I didn't, but you should like wait a little while and then see what you want to do and then go to graduate school if you're going to pay $70,000 or whatever stupid amount of money. Make sure it's what you want to be doing. So I was one of the younger people in my at graduate school, but there were a lot of females, in my class. So
were you interested in? Were you watching the shows? Were you like fans of certain?
Oh
shows?
yeah, I mean, number one, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and if you're not a farmer or you work at the Mississippi Chemical Corporation making nitrate for the farmers, I don't like you. What are you doing? So to me, like being an artist is like, what? And then so animation, I might as well just like, I'm gonna be an astronaut. So like what? So but it's I loved like Beauty and the Beast is came out when I was like 6 or something. That's what I was like blown away. And after that, I just I drew all the time in my sketchbook, but I didn't like start really becoming serious until I was like 14, and I got my, you know what a hardship is? Do they do hardships out when you get your driver's license like early, because you got to take the kids because there's nowhere to go. Okay. There's nowhere, nobody goes to, my school was 30 miles away, so like I had to like haul the children of the town to school because I was one of the oldest kids. And and then and my school didn't even have an art program, so we had to find one somewhere else. So it was I always want to help younger people, because like, not that like life was, I wasn't like walking uphill in the snow or anything, but it was hard. So like, I always want to like help younger people have an easier go of it than I did, So,
right. Yeah. And now, we're friends on Instagram. That's something that you didn't have when you started. Right?
So no,
now
I grew up in a weird time when like the internet was there. But I graduated college in 2007. So that was like, Facebook was only colleges and stuff, it was a lot different than it. There was like, I don't even have a DeviantArt account. Like my sister had to create a Facebook account for me and create an Instagram account whenever Instagram came out, because I did not like social media. I was an angsty little emo art kid, so it took a long time for me to like get good at it. Good,
So you probably got people knocking on your Instagram screen door like every day, I imagine, right?
Oh no, no, I don't know. Like it's weird because I feel like I haven't been. I mean, I've been in the industry, I guess, for like 5 years now, but I still feel like any second now the rug is just gonna. I'm gonna be like working at Vaughn's or something. So always I'm like, oh, okay, oh, good, I'm being successful. I mean, I work hard at like it, but yeah.
I think everybody feels that. I think everybody feels that to some degree, that the wolf is at the door.
I for sure feel that way.
Kat, I'm sorry, Kat. I'm gonna throw your Instagram up here real quick. If that's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No. Okay. Yeah. A lot of pinups now for. I'm combining like Inktober. I mean, not Inktober, Drawtober or whatever, and Pinuptober, and yeah. So I'm combining a few things. But I like
there's all these Tobers. There's all these Tobers.
Yeah.
It's like everything is a Tober. It's like, will there be a something November, something December? You know,
it's basically everything. So
right. So I'm sort of interested in your you got in, you started your process of becoming a character designer. I'm sort of interested in that and how you moved towards that, because that's that, of course, that's the thing that every student you meet wants to either be, like I said, either a concept designer or a character designer, and they think that it'll just be like drawing Wonder Woman with a different dress or something, or drawing a guy holding a gun or something.
Like I'm not gonna say this to like take this with a grain of salt, but being a character designer is kind of like being a rock star of. I mean, like it's hard. It's not. I don't know how I lucked into being a character designer, but it's not. It's not easy to like. That's kind of the top of the food chain. I'm sure in a year I'll be like somewhere way down here. I'm lucky right now but when I first got hired on the show, I was just a character designer. I wasn't a lead or anything. And it is a miracle Lauren and David didn't like. I think Lauren felt sorry that I'd moved so far that she kept me on, because I was so like, I had so much to learn, especially like doing turns and stuff. And I will say the main thing about a character designer is I'm not trying to draw in my style. I'm trying to match whatever the show is. So I think a lot of younger artists don't I mean, unless you're like the lead of the whole kit and caboodle, which is like, that's like being a rock star. That's like, you can
unless
do
you're
it.
You're like Bruce Timm, then everybody's trying to draw like you.
Which, I mean, how many Bruce Timms are there? Or how many Lauren Fausts or Craig McCrackens? I mean, I can name it happens. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but it's not easy. I mean, that's going to be a long road. And so I would say that I'm trying to match their style as best I can. And I have to be able to switch on, like, I worked on Archer. That's like a totally different style. Like, so I have to be able to like, I mean, now the reason she hired me was because my natural style kind of looks like similar. It's a little different, but so it's in some ways it's easier, because that's kind of naturally how I draw. But in some ways it's harder, because there are rules that I need to like apply to it, that actually like make sense and make things like characters are volumetric and not just flat on a sheet of paper. Mm-hmm. So the main thing is like, you have to know that you're just like a vessel that's like trying to get the ideas out that they all look alike. Like they can all be on the same show. I'm not trying to like draw in KATHRYN Hudson style. So yeah, that's the main thing. So
what would you say you're learning? What was the hardest things about your learning curve in the beginning?
God in heaven. There's so many things. I suck at perspective. I suck at foreshortening. So I've gotten a lot better at that. David, bless his heart, had to like redraw everything up. Like if somebody's like coming straight at you, he had to like redraw all that. I would flatten things out and not in a volumetric way. Like the way Lauren would explain the show to us is they need to look like vinyl figures that could turn in space, but still be flat. Do you know, like I think it's Paul Rudish or who ever did the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon?
Yeah.
Like, it's very.
And he worked on Samurai Jack.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that like James Hewlett, who did like Gorillas and all that Tank Girl. God, I was like, what something? They have a very graphic, flat style, but they're also like look like they could like turn in space. So that's I naturally like want to do everything like just like paper cutouts and stuff, but you have to be able to like think of it as a 3-dimensional object. So that took a long time for like me to wrap my head around. Like I want to learn like ZBrush and stuff in all my spare time. But so I can, because I have trouble thinking in the round. So yeah.
I have a couple of questions from the room. You're blowing up the chat room. There are so many questions. I'm gonna do one on top of the other. So the first one's from Stunt Ken again. He asks, Kat, because you came from a very tiny town with a small population, what were your parents' reaction when you wanted to make art as your career?
Oh man, it's so funny. Okay, my sister, she liked to draw before me. She's 3 years older than me, and they were like, hell no. No way. And then they could tell like kind of how that affected her, like they let her like doodle around and stuff, but we're not like paying for art lessons because we weren't poor, but we didn't have like paying for art lessons money. And so they could kind of tell how that affected her. So luckily, because of my sister's misery, I got to benefit. And I've actually talked to her over the years, and she's like, oh yeah, it all worked out fine. And I was like, oh good. So my mom was a district superintendent for the school district. So what she would do is say, KATHRYN, who is my daughter, doesn't have to go to school on Wednesdays. And what I would do is I would get my little car, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, I would drive 60 miles to go to Jackson, Mississippi, the capital. And I would take life drawing classes from 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night from a guy named Bob. Yeah. So, and it was nude life drawing. It was like 3-hour sessions, three-hour sessions. And so that started when I was like right before 9/11. So like 15 or something. Wow. 14 or 15. And I always remember 9/11. I don't know, they're in my brain together for some reason because that's when I started them at the same time. And so she was like, I love you taking art lessons, KATHRYN, but as long as we don't have to see the naked people, because I didn't want to see any naked people. So I drew my sketchbook for years. And so they were really supportive. I mean, they like didn't understand it and stuff, but they definitely like, they helped, my grandmother and helped me pay for it. And, I worked out a thing with the art teacher and stuff. And, and then he went on to become the chair of an art department at a college. And he was like, here is a scholarship. Wow. And that's the college I went to in Mississippi. So I very sneakily.
No, that's great. Yeah, you had a really good support system.
I did. I'm very lucky. Great. Like I know a lot of young artists, their parents are not very supportive. So I was really lucky. I mean, they, again, like they, artsy fartsy, whatever. But I was really lucky that they supported me so much. So yeah.
The next question is from our good buddy Bill O'Donnell. Hello, Bill. Bill says, do you think doing storyboards or turnarounds helps with artists doing sequentials, aka learning to be quicker with gestures and layouts?
Yeah, I think it probably works both ways. Like, being good at gestures and layouts will help you do storyboards and turnarounds. I really want to learn storyboarding. I just took a like free class from the Animation Guild, because I don't have a lot of bags of tricks that are going to get me paid out here. So if I don't get a character design gig, I'm like, so I mean, eventually this show is going to end, so I'm going to like need to have more skills. So I think, but I think like definitely doing turnarounds will help you in so many things, not just character design. It just helps you think like, in the round. It helps you think. It helps you. A big thing from that when I was learning art is there's a book by Kimon Nicolaides called The Natural Way to Draw. But it discusses like distances, like in relationships, and that is like the 900% of what character design is like head volume compared to size and chest width and arm length and stuff. So if you can think like that, then you can draw anything. So
and also Courtney's here.
Oh, hey. Hey, Courtney. Yeah, she's so sweet. We've met. She lives out here, so we've met a few times.
Hey, Courtney.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. One more, and then we'll get back to Mike and I conversation. Another good pal, Angela Skye, posits, what aspect of drawing was a challenge for you at one point? Perspective, proportions, coloring, etc.
Well, coloring, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just do what I think looks good. But I don't really color for my job. I just,
Right.
I mean, I've color for freelance stuff. I would do that. I'm working on something right now that it's like I have to send in a bunch of, color and stuff. So, I mean, that's a challenge, is in like I'm just making it up and I don't,
Well, it's interesting. We had Rico on a couple months ago. And we talked a lot about color theory, and kind of like the absence of color theory is just like mood, right? It's like you get an energy from putting certain colors together, which pop. So like, what is that kind of like your color theories? Like,
that's I mean, like, I think I did watch that, and he mentioned vibrating colors, and I want to make you uncomfortable sometimes. Like, are your eyes hurt a little bit? So I do naturally, if I'm drawing something for myself, it's usually like obnoxiously pink and neon green and neon cyan, and it's like these colors or something. But when I was in college back in Mississippi, we the teacher there, he was it's called like a Henchite. It's like the Henry Henchy School of Painting, like painting from light or whatever. So I do have a background in, I mean, I'm not great at it or anything, but I do have a background in like, I mean, it's like a type of plein air painting or whatever. So it's finding the true color out of like the, instead of tonal, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it good, but, I can see my cat in the background. But, yeah, so I do have a background in that, but that's drawn from life or painting from life. And then I'm making it up out of my head. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, like one is interpreting what you see, and another one is from invention, right? So I think people have a natural, like some people have a natural sense of rhythm, good ear for music, things like that. I think people have a natural thing with color, because you can teach most people in art school, go through and make the swatches. Everybody makes the swatches, right? Yeah. That still doesn't mean that you know shit about color. You know how to make green and brown and then some other and make your tertiary colors. Everybody learns how to do that, but it doesn't mean that you have a feeling for it.
Yeah, I think the Henchy, it's Henry Henchy. I think that type, it did help me, like, not, because you're looking past the, I think it's called the local color, to see what the true color is. So it's you have to kind of use a different part of your brain or perception, I guess. That sounds like magic, but it helps me like think like, oh, the sky's not necessarily blue. It's like green today or something, like it could be any color. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, because there are a lot of people when they paint something, like plein air painting, they go, well, grass is green. So
grass is
and then
very.
You look at it and like, it's like no, grass
very rarely
green. Right, and our eye sees more green than any other color. We're more sensitive to the color green than any other color. So so you learn to look and find these other more, as my teacher would say, who was into that sort of perceptual painting, as they would call it. That you find these evocative colors. So, like if I look at your skin tone and my skin tone and Jamar's skin tone, right? I'm seeing these different quadrants of color.
Yeah, it's
right?
not. I mean, there's like blues, purples. It's not.
Right,
You know,
right.
I'm not
right.
peach. I'm like, you know. Well, number one, I'm like white anyway. I'm like very pale. But you know, like yeah, exactly. There's what another thing like have you ever heard of the drawing on the right side of the brain? It's a book.
I have that book somewhere.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
It's a
everybody
classic.
should have that book.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Classic,
it talks
yeah.
about the symbol system a lot. Like you have this like, and I think that's a lot of trouble that like young artists run into. Like drawing a hand, you know, they'll draw like four, you know, yeah, they'll draw
sausages,
that
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Well, that's just a symbol for a hand. There's no hand that looks like that. Just like with color, there's no green on the ground unless like you went out and painted Derwent paint or something like that.
Right, right.
I don't know. We're getting a little above, but you know, you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Well, you go through that. It's funny you mentioned that because I've talked about this before on the podcast. So I was a person who didn't have any life drawing really until I was in my 20s for the first time. And so what happens is you learn to draw from looking at other drawings. And then you sit down and you draw from life. And at first, they're horrible because what you're doing is you're overriding what you see for what you know that's in your head.
So
you go
true.
like, so I know that the leg is this long, so I'm drawing the leg. I'm not paying attention to the shape of the leg, which is what you were talking about, which is in that book.
See, I was taught exactly the opposite. I started at a young age, and it was just life drawing. And he strongly discouraged us from either drawing out of our head or drawing from pictures, which is not good. Like, you should have a balance. Like, because then when I started drawing out of my head, it looked like garbage. So there needs to be a balance, I think. Like, it can't be all of one or all of the. I mean, I guess you could just draw from life if that's what, you know, you could do it. But, I mean, if you're trying to. There's no right or wrong, you know. You need to like be able to do both. So, yeah.
So what would you say that you? So this I think would help younger artists. What would you take? What do you think you take from life drawing into your daily work?
Oh, just like I was talking about the relationship comparison thing. Like when I was learning to draw when I was younger, I would draw. We would do these things, and they're in that Nicolaides book. They're called duplication. So basically, you would draw a squiggle, and then we would draw like guidelines or use our pencil, and we would try to exactly duplicate that, like exactly, like every minute detail. And I would have sketchbooks and sketchbooks and sketchbooks filled with that. And that kind of exercises taught me, and you know, it's an observation from life, but it teaches you like relationships and like, you know, the distance of eyes from nose to mouth on different people, different ethnic types, different, you know, across the board or whatever. It's all about relationships. So if you, you know, learning that in real life will help you apply it to character design. I mean, I don't know if I like I don't consciously like think of this a lot of the times. It's kind of, you know, in my background, I guess, you know.
But you did at one point. Now
I did, yeah.
So like when you're drawing, because if you have to, I know like when I was working as a character designer on Batman Brave and the Bold, they might say, we want to draw 5 old Chinese gangsters, right? And so everybody has the stereotypical Asian face that you would draw, right? But if you want to make them distinct characters, what I would do is I would look at a lot of photographs, then do a drawing of that, and then abstract from my drawing. Yeah. And I don't know if you work that way yourself.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly. I mean, like I spend so much. I can't even imagine back in the olden days when you like had to get a file of stuff. Because I spend so much time on like Pinterest. Like before I even put pen to paper, like I had to draw a Deathstroke recently, like designing for the show. I looked up every live action version of Deathstroke, every animated version, and there's a lot. Every comic book version. I mean, so I had every single appearance from his beginning till, you know, and then I take, you know, but I like with background characters, incidentals, or, you know, people running around the background is the same thing. Like if you have to have a group of punks, well, in my head, I only have so many ideas. You know, I need to keep it fresh. You know, I've got to look up references and stuff. So I spend like 2 or 3 hours before I even draw anything, looking up stuff. So
you get very good at searching, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love like Pinterest and Google, and I mean, yeah, I use a lot of I used to burn stuff on CDs back in the day, like have all these CDs of like random things.
CDs.
Yeah, I remember in the olden days.
Right. Yeah.
I had to buy external hard drive recently, and I hadn't bought one in years, and I was like, it's so big compared to like the one size. It's so crazy.
You can get like you can get like 20 terabytes for like
I know.
nothing.
And like I had one back in the day that was like 1 terabyte and it was like $200 or something. It's funny.
Do you make a style board?
I'm gonna put the old stuff up.
Okay. Yeah, I do. I definitely have like a. Well, I mean, on this show, I know what I'm trying to like do and stuff. So, I always, when we have a style guide, I've been there since day one and there was no style guide. So it was like, we were making the style guide. And that was like, oh, what is this show? I don't even know. This is so complicated. But thankfully, Lauren was patient with me. And so was, David. And we had a bunch of other character designers. So, yeah. Everybody was very patient.
Yeah, this would be a good time if I could put that Batgirl stuff on the screen.
Yeah, you put it up there.
Okay, cool.
I know one of the other considerations on any show that the younger people don't always realize is that the budget of the show also dictates what you're going to do, whether it's, you're making the puppets, you're making all the pieces and they're animating it together, or in this case, they're drawing it by hand, but they're drawing it in Korea, and you have to try to make it so that the people in Korea can all sort of understand.
Yeah, our studio is actually in Ireland.
Okay.
But same difference. Like it's I had to make like an eye guide for like and I don't know nothing about animation. I've just kind of like ended up here. So I'm like, how would an animator think? Like, how would this be useful or whatever? So, I've had to do a few things like that. And, but when the show was first starting, Lauren and them went over to Ireland to like talk to them and everything. So, but we get stuff back and we get retakes and things like that. So, and now this was before I even like when I first started on the show, we were just sitting around for like 2 weeks, and this was me trying to draw Batgirl, and these don't look like garbage, but they're like not very good. So I fixed them up. So anyway.
So what would be the changes that you would make to something like this?
I kind of go over it. Yeah, like I kind of basically go over it, but it's like everything before was kind of just loosey goosey. Like when I look at these other old drawings, I'm like, there's like arms are the like way long length, and like I'm not keeping in mind like spatial relationships or like I have a tendency to draw everybody like super tall, like they're 12 foot tall. Like if I don't know why. Just so I wasn't keeping things like that in mind, and everything needs to be a much more compact and show style, but like and things need to flow better, line of action needs to be stronger. I've learned a lot of that kind of stuff over time. Yeah, this kind of like goes goes through a little bit like just tightening things up a lot, and thinking about line of action, like where I want things to where I want to lead the eye or whatever. So. Right.
And these I know from drawing Batman that he's really he's a character you have to really pay careful attention to the shapes.
Oh yeah.
You've got the things on his arms, you got the belt, you've got the cape, and Batgirl, you've got the hair and the cape.
Yeah, hair and cape, yeah.
Which makes it even more difficult because you got the ears, her hair, and the cape.
And so you've got her eyes, but you've also got the mask under her eye. So you got to like think about like, and they can't be hitting the nose all the time. Like, there's a lot to keep in mind. Like, Lauren didn't, I think this drawing I did, but Lauren doesn't usually like the nose to break the eye. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like, you have to think about, you have to clear everything. Like, things need to be not spread out, but like everything needs to be readable. So, you know, it's like at a first glance, you need to be able to look, I can understand what's going on, you know. So, I mean, I don't even know what Lauren would think of these, probably garbage, but you know, like everything needs to read instantly. So, yeah.
Right. Well, I remember you probably saw them, you know, like Bruce would make those guides, like never put Batman like this, never put his arm like this, because it creates weird tangents with the flanges on the arms, things like that. Again, there, like you have a nice flow
and that's
of hair.
Like in my personal work, I love, like, there's an artist named Charlie Harper who does tangents a lot, and I love tangents. Like, if I could, I'd have everything crossing over. You know, we would just be like, I mean, it'd be like Cole Phillips and stuff. Like, there's a bunch of artists I like that use tangents a lot. So that's something I had to like really, because I like tangents, but they don't work in animation. I mean, like it's weird looking, so you've got to keep that in mind. So yeah, see, like I even wrote here, watch tangents, like with, you know, the cape and the I'm pointing at it, like you can see me pointing at it. But yeah, like things coming from the same point, you got to watch that so it doesn't look like it's readable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So
these are great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And it's hard to come up with some fresh take on a character that's been around 90 years, and you've had so many good people do good versions of it. You know, I think that's you know, that's a tough thing.
Well, I just had,
coming. I mean, these characters.
I was saying I just had to design Blue Beetle for an episode, and I went crazy, and it went all the way through up to, I mean, it went pretty far, and then they were like, too crazy. So like, you know, like sometimes you gotta, I mean, like these characters usually, I mean, unless it's background people, they usually exist, and they still need to like maintain the look and feel, and sometimes there's legal reasons they can't be too close. Like I had to draw Aquaman recently, but we couldn't make him look like Jason Momoa, you know, so there's like legal things, there's all kinds of like, you know, there's all kinds.
So were you referencing to him but not like you couldn't draw his caricature, his likeness, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, his attitude, and like maybe like, you know, maybe somebody like a Polynesian type, you know, descent or something like that, but not, I couldn't, you know, we cannot draw, because like in season 1 I got to design the Kryptonians, and Lauren was like, draw them like the movie, you know, Superman 2, and I loved it, she loved it, we were ready to go, and then all of a, you know, it goes to legal, and they're like, no. So, I mean, I don't know what the legal term is, but like,
which is odd. It's odd, you know, because it's all Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to pay like Terrence Mann, you know, money for his. I don't know, like what the legal, but you know, there's things like that, you know, get stopped and stuff like that. So, you know.
So what is your? That's the other thing I know. I think is important for the younger artists. So what is your typical day like, and how much time do you have to turn around? Probably never enough time, but how, you know, what's your turnaround like? If they give you like, hey, we need to see Aquaman, how long do you have to do, you know, some sketches?
Well, usually like, I mean, it's like season 1 was, woo. It was like a week turnaround for the whole episode, like everything, because we got behind at some points and stuff. Now it's like 2 weeks. We usually, you know, I usually have like 20 poses maybe, and I have like this episode I had 3 turns, and so I usually get a lot. I mean, not all the turns. A lot of there's we have 3 other character designers this season, you know, but the turns, usually they're 8 drawings, unless they're a very symmetrical person, which is like never on our show. I mean, like maybe a background person symmetrical, I think like the penguin or something, but like usually it's 8, you know, front, 3/4 profile.
So it can totally rotate.
Back. Yeah, so that's 20, you know, I had 3 turns this episode, so that was 24 drawings, and then you know, and then 20 poses. So, but usually like 2 weeks, and that's like, I'm really fast. I mean, sometimes not in a good way. But I've had times when they're like, we need something this afternoon. Now, drawing for a TV show, I've not worked on a movie, but I know for a movie, you get like, they just got bukus of time, I think, but not on the TV show. You ain't got no time. I mean, you can just, you know, from working on Batman, but it feels like the hounds of hell are like right behind us sometimes. We gotta hurry.
Right. Because I know when I would work on those shows that usually you had a start date. Often you started boarding before you had your final designs. Sometimes
ideally,
or somebody, right?
Like,
right.
Ideally,
yeah, but they were actually, of all the people I worked for, they were actually the worst with that. It took them the longest.
And I don't know any better because this is like the only big show I've been on. So I'm like, I have no idea.
And then sometimes, you know, your character would change. And when they would change, that means that your the way you laid out a scene might change. But
we've had that we don't have that happen much, but we've had that happen a few times. And I'm just like, I mean, I probably get taken advantage of because I'm so happy to be having an art job. I just don't complain, and I'm like super excited. And you want me to change it right now? I'll change it right now. Mm-hmm. But in my head, I'm like, F. Like, you know, I ain't gonna sleep tonight, I guess. So yeah.
Kat, have you rubbed up against other artists on a project or in the same studio who were kind of like, oh, come on, stop being so cooperative?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes they do have there's some people who are kind of jaded, who've been doing this a long time, or this is what they've been doing since straight out of college or high school. And you know, and not jaded in a bad way, just like they're used to it. I have not hit that yet. It's still like magical to me. But also, like, it's not good if I jump and like do 20 drawings and I should have only done like 3. Number one, it could not make people look bad, but it's like you're under promising and over delivering. I don't know what the thing is, but like you're setting up expectations that are
making me look bad.
Well, I mean, not even that, but like you're hurting yourself sometimes too, because now they're always going to expect that, and like you're going to get tired or burned out, or you know, you can't do it all the time or maintain.
You did it the last time. How come you're not doing it this time?
Exactly. So I've tried to like, and they have a don't work extra on the weekends if you're not getting paid. You know, you need to like.
Yeah,
treat it like a job, you know. To me,
balance.
It's like.
Well, it's also different too, because now I was on staff from Philadelphia, as in Brett was on staff from Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So we were on staff, but long distance. That means you're in the union. That means you have so many hours per week. Of course, nobody ever works the amount of hours because, especially with boarding, it's just like a sponge. You will just eat every second you will give to it. But then there's also that time where, you know, they are not always fair with you. Or you're a freelancer. I've had problems with that too. Even if you're at a union studio and then you talk to the union and they go like, if you raise a stink, they'll just blackball you.
See, and I'm like really scared of that kind of stuff. So, and I don't know. I mean, like I should be at the point where I'm like more confident, but I'm not. So I just, you know, I think like I have been taken not bad advantage of, but I mean, I've got to watch it. Like, you know, I'm still learning a lot. So, you know, even though it's funny because I'm older than because I had such a circuitous route to get here. I'm older than a lot of like my coworkers, but I'm like I'm more naive than a lot of them. I don't know. Right. So yeah, it's
a balancing act because on one hand, and I always tell this to the students, because you do this, you draw Bugs Bunny because you love Bugs Bunny, right?
Yeah.
The producer may love Bugs Bunny, may not love Bugs Bunny.
Exactly.
You love Bugs Bunny, and that's why you want to do this job. And the companies know that, and they can take advantage of you because of that.
Exactly. I mean, like, I can't think of what. Well, here, this isn't a good example, but like, okay, I got a freelance gig for Hasbro. Out of the blue, they saw my Instagram and they were like, "Oh, we want this line of Disney princess dolls. How much would you charge to do I think it was like 4 drawings or something like that." And I was like, I did the math in my head, and I was like, okay, 600. And they were like, okay, 600 each is fine. And I'm like, I meant 600 for all 4 of them, but okay, like I just you don't have any clue. Like, they have money, like, what I'm saying. Like,
well, Disney really has money.
So you just have to have more of a business acumen than I do. So anyway, I'm working on it.
It's I've had that happen. I had an agent who I could ask because somebody comes up to you and goes, I need this. Now there's a standard rate in the industry per hour. There's a standard rate in the industry per turn, per pose, right? But then again, if you're designing something for Disney and they're going to make dolls and toys and mobile homes and everything else out of it, right?
Yeah.
That's different, because that's that's not just I'm going to make it for a coloring book, right?
Yeah, and this isn't like mom and pop,
right? And not everybody knows what all that extra is.
And I'm still figuring stuff out like that. It's kind of, that's why I always tell people, like, when they ask, I'm like, I tell them like what I charge for things, what I like make. I'm like very transparent. Because like the only person who benefits from you being quiet is the company. Like, they don't. That's the only thing that, like, your fellow person needs to know, so that they, that's why I like unions and stuff. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Atlanta didn't have a union, so it's different out here. I like being.
Well, I've worked on shows that were union, and worked on shows that were non-union, but still shown on Cartoon Network. Like Venture Brothers was not union.
Oh, okay, yeah, and like BoJack Horseman wasn't. I mean, like there's a bunch of big shows that aren't and stuff. So.
So this is the point in the podcast, Kat, where I ask how you're doing. How you doing?
I'm fine.
You good? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I want to ask a question. These are some that I had to load from my other page. So these
are from YouTube.
These are from Facebook, and for some reason they didn't.
Oh, okay.
Upload. And this is our spicy question of the night. Kat.
Uh-oh.
You ready?
Oh no, spicy.
So Mama Carla asks, do you think women draw women better, or does it matter?
I don't. I would say, like, than men, obviously is the other part of that. Do women draw women better than men? And I like drawing pinups. Now, I will not say better, but I think usually female, like, pinup artists or just female artists have a different view when they're drawing, like, pinups and women. Usually it's a stylistic kind of thing. Like, I can think of like 3 or 4 other female pinup artists. Genevieve FT, I can't think of her last name, but it's like Setva. It starts with an S. It's like Russian or something.
I know.
There's a few female pinup artists. They're more focused on like stylization, outfits, hair, like the S curves and things like that. Now, when I look at like a Chris Sanders or like a Bill Preissing or even Shane Glines, he's pretty stylistic, but they're more like kind of sometimes focused on like anatomy, not in a bad way. Like, it's just kind of a different mindset, sort of, but it's not like an intentional thing. So I wouldn't say better. I would just say it's from a different point of view. I'm usually trying to draw like cheesecake, and it's like funny, and it's usually it's like telling a quick little story sometimes. And I like to focus on outfits and hair and stuff like that, but also like I'm more focused on stylization and things like that. Does that make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't think there's like one that's better than the other or something. And then you get like into your like you go into Twitter and you get into furry stuff, and then it's just like all downhill. You know, I can think of a lot of dudes that draw pinups that I'm like, oh, we're coming at this from a different point of view. You know, but yeah.
And I also think that the modern pinup is a little bit different than the
for sure
classic, you know, like Wally Wood, Frazetta, guys like that, because they were drawing more of the typical male desire.
Yeah, well, especially like I love Frazetta and stuff, but like women always being carried off by somebody, you know, like it's always like kind of rapey, but I mean, not, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely like changed a lot, I think. Well, in like probably subconsciously, but a lot of female, they're more like powerful look, like a lot of it's from like not dominatrixy, but like it's from like a elevated perspective sometimes, and the kind of men maybe are looked down on, not necessarily, but it's like more from the power point of view from a female instead of the male. So
I had a big argument one day in my MFA class talking about cosplay, because the older feminist teacher looked at cosplay as women either liking to be dominated or men dominating women. And I go, no. Women are wearing that because that's like an empowering thing. Yeah. They're choosing to wear.
My husband doesn't give a shit what I wear.
Possible.
No, my husband does not give a shit what I wear. I wear what I want to wear because I want to wear it, you know? So, yeah, there's some pinups right there. And then my Venomy boy, my slimy boy. All I wanted for 2020 is Venom 2, but COVID had to. I mean, can't I just have one thing? It's my stupid Venom movie. But yeah, I think that's kind of a narrow point of view, is saying like, because I like to wear makeup, and I'm kind of a guy girl anyway. Like I like to like. All my friends are dudes, you know, I'm like barely a girl, but I also like makeup, and like, you know, and I don't do that for dudes. I do it because I like it. So, you know.
Yeah. I think that was an interesting thing in that class, because the teachers of a certain generation, feminists of certain generation, would look at something like this and go, "You've been brainwashed."
No. Like, right? That would be their point. I've always liked. I mean, even as a kid, my parents wouldn't even let me read Archie. Like that's really? Like how I was raised Southern Baptist. I mean, rainbows are from Satan, like, you know. But I always like pinups, so you know, nobody brainwashed me. I brainwashed myself. So
now, what would you say would be something that would be challenging for you to draw? Because everybody has things like horses or animals or dudes.
Yeah, horses are hard to draw, honestly. I'm suck at anything well, number one, perspective, but also incorporated with that anything non-organic, like cars, bicycles. I mean, any kind of, you want my person in something? I'd rather have them floating in outer space. Like, you know, nobody's on the ground. We're just that's why I didn't want to take storyboarding, so I actually like learn perspective better. Yeah, I suck at like inorganic things. And I like for Archer, I did character design, but also like would end up having to work on like that is a janky turnaround that's old. Okay, yeah. That's why I was still figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I've gotten better at like now if I'm looking at a photograph, I can like fake it good and draw, you know from life or whatever. But making it up out of my head, I like would never draw a mecha or something like that. I don't think that way.
So what would your advice be? Because I know you know, we've gotten into this discussion before. There's things that guys tend to draw, and there's things that women tend to draw. Like when I would teach, the women tended to draw figures and lots of faces and lots of girls' faces. Not even always the body, but the faces. And the guys would draw somebody being killed or blowing up. Or, you know,
no, I'm just the same. I mean, and I fit right into that because I would always draw like heads and faces and hair and stuff like that, which is, you know, not good or bad. It's just I mean, I think it does help to have a wide breadth because you never know what you're going to be like, especially if you're in animation, like what you're going to be asked to draw on a show or anything like that. You know, I'm lucky that my parents let me take, you know, life drawing classes so much and supported me so much because I think that helped me have a strong foundation to like be able to draw anything.
So there's some you were drawing a background.
Oh yeah, go back to that. Like, I mean, I love like, you know, turn of the century industrial design, Mary Blair, Allison Martin Provision, like that, Charlie Harper, flat graphic. That house could not exist in real life, like, but in my make-believe flat graphic children's book world, yeah. So, you know, I can fake it, but if you actually like ask me to figure out, like I think the show, the DC Superhero Girl show has some of the most beautiful backgrounds. There's an artist named Michael Bailey who did a lot of the backgrounds for season 1, and they're great. But yeah, I can't do that. Like their layout artists are crazy. I mean, that's just like, I did a Wonder Twins pitch for one recently, just to try to do a pitch. I never even thought of, you know, it's COVID, I got time, whatever. And I contacted some background artists because I've never really drawn backgrounds, and they were like, oh yeah, you know, it was about $300, you know, to do a painting. And I was like, that is totally worth it, but this is probably never going to get off the ground. So I don't need to spend the $300. So I like did my own backgrounds for that. And, you know, they turned out okay. Like,
but do you want me to show these? Cause you sent
them. If you got them, yeah, give me one. If anybody's still listening.
No, we're going strong.
I see where Tim Fielder says he's from Clarksdale. That's crazy. Like I applied to be a teacher in Clarksdale when I graduated because it's one of those areas that like it's not teachers without. It's like they'll pay you if you go to a poor area.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like Teach for America.
Yeah, Teach for America. Anyway, all right.
And they'll pay part of your student loan too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So yeah, but I didn't end up doing that. Thank God. That's so funny. What a small world.
So this is your Wonder Twins pitch?
Yes. And now I pitched it. You know, I was super nervous. It was COVID, so like I had to do it over the computer, and they really liked it. But they said like, number one, it's too similar style. They didn't say stylistically. They said what'd they say? They said it's too similar tonally to Teen Titans Go and DC Superhero Girls. And which I totally agree. And it looks very similar to DC Superhero Girls because I'm the character designer on DC. That's just how I draw. So like, you know, but they gave me some good feedback. Now they did say, you know, maybe scale it, age it younger, like for kids, like little kids. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if so that's another thing, you know, so I learned a lot just like doing it, and it was good practice and stuff. And I suck at writing, so it helped me like, you know, write. So it was fun to put together.
So we talked about animals, and I mean that's one of the things I remember on when I was working on Batman Brave and the Bold. You would never know. I mean, you were drawing like a bird, an octopus, a giant gorilla, a gorilla riding a pterodactyl. You know, sometimes you're drawing something like a llama, or you're drawing. So like if you had to draw a horse in the style of the show. Would you do that, or would you say, Joe, come over here. Here you go.
Like, you know, I think there's probably artists who are like, oh yeah, I don't do turns or something. I don't know who those artists are because I will do whatever. I mean, it might look shitty, but I'll do it. But because I had to draw Beast Boy as a donkey for one episode, and it was a split-second scene. Like, he just runs through the background. I had to redraw that donkey like 8 times. Like, so, sometimes you just gotta, you gotta do it. So
what is the flow? You get the script. Do you get a note or a sketch, and then you run with it, or you do it all yourself and then you show it to?
Well, on this, on DC Superhero Girls, like, if they have the script, and then they'll know if it's a brand new character that's never existed. I mean, never been drawn before. Then I'll usually, or sometimes, if I'm busy or something, somebody else will design it, and then that'll go to boards, and then we'll get the boards, and then after the person's approved, like after the new person's approved. And then that'll go to boards, and then we'll get the special poses, and then those will be delineated out, or any turns, like if that new character needs to be turned in space. So yeah, those are the backgrounds I was talking about.
So let's look at those. Look at those backgrounds. Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm very influenced by like Powerpuff Girls, Kevin Dart.
Yeah.
Craig McCracken, Genndy Tartakovsky.
Yeah.
All them people. So it's flat and graphic and stuff. So I don't know.
Which is hard because it's sort of like sometimes it's like the isometric perspective.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, it's like that building's in perspective, but not true perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and things are in different. I mean, this would not hold up to the smell test of like it actually working. But I mean, I don't even know if a character could walk around in this thing very well. But to get the idea across for this like pitch that didn't go anywhere, it was fine. So anyway,
right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So so your workflow, you do a pass, it goes to the showrunner, I guess. They look at it and go, they like it. Do they make little notes on stuff?
Yeah, see, Lauren was on season 1, but she's not on season 2. So there's different, like we have a different producer and stuff now. So they give their feedback, and then it comes back. Like I had to design the Riddler for this season, and like I was going more like Jim Carrey kind of Riddler, but they were thinking in their heads like the 60s Jim. I can't remember the actor's name. 60s Riddler.
Frank Gorshin.
That guy. And so like, then it'll bounce back a few times, and we'll figure out the outfits and stuff. So, I mean, I'll usually draw like 3 or 4 on a sheet. And then we'll kind of like, I like the head of A, the body of B, the belt of C, the boots of D, and we'll Frankenstein it together. So.
Now, and what are you drawing on? Are you drawing on paper? Are you drawing on Cintiq?
I'm usually drawing on Cintiq. Like, I mean, I in Photoshop. I use, like sometimes when we have notes, we'll draw on paper and stuff. But just for expediting and stuff, we usually are drawing on the Cintiq. So.
Do you prefer to draw on a Cintiq, or do you prefer to draw on paper?
I used to like drawing on paper more, but I mean now unfortunately, I'm just so used to drawing on the Cintiq. I probably like this Inktober. I really wanted to like sit my butt down and like actually ink stuff, but I'm like busy, lazy, blah blah blah. It takes me a little bit longer, and and then I mess up and stuff on doing it traditionally. So I did it digitally, but at least I'm doing something. but I always give myself a hard time. But I wish I'd done it traditionally. But sometimes it just takes me longer to do traditional. But I do like doing traditional and stuff. I'm trying to get better at it. I, play with markers and stuff.
Kat, are there any studio default programs you need to use? I think people will be interested.
Well, I've only worked at Warner Brothers in Floyd County in Atlanta. And everything pretty much is on Photoshop. I mean, I know they use Storyboard Pro for storyboarding, which is made by
Toon Boom. Yeah.
Okay. Question mark.
Yeah.
So we use that. I'm using that 2018 Photoshop or whatever. We only use a few brushes. in my personal work, I make some brushes, and I got a lot of brushes from the website Texture Supply Company. I like all their brushes. Plug for them. Free plug. And but yeah, we mostly use, and I know that they use Storyboard Pro for storyboarding, but I've never played with that. So I don't think Photoshop's necessarily the best like drawing tool, but that's the one I've taught myself and bought and stuff back in the day. So I only play with Photoshop, but I know a lot, like Brian Stelfreeze, he pretty much uses Clip Studio. My husband likes Clip Studio.
That's what I use.
Yeah, and all my friends, they use Procreate, but I've never even played with Procreate. I'd like, because I know it not films you, but it like records you and stuff. I'd like something like that maybe one day, figuring that out. So
you can use QuickTime to record your screen while you're working.
Yeah, you can, but I don't know how to like speed it up without like playing the video. It's real janky. Like I'll have to do a screen recording of a screen recording. It's not very like natural.
You can put it into iMovie. You can put it into iMovie.
Oh, I don't know how to do any of that.
You got to dump in another program. Yeah.
That's what everybody does. You probably only have to do it one or two times.
Oh,
and you figure out your.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, or you make it and you get somebody, a fan off of your Instagram, to do it. And you give them a drawing to paint. See?
I mean, like I'm so like I see Chris Battle just showed up. He's a character designer. He's awesome.
Well, let's let him ask his question. Hey, Chris. Hey, Kat. Dream bucket list character or franchise you hope to do officially one day. I was
talking before, or maybe on the record, of Batman Beyond. I really, really, really love Batman Beyond from back in the day. I mean, I even read like the comics and stuff. It's just, I would love to work on that. I'm trying to think of like something original like that I would love to bring to life. I know Lauren Faust was working on the Medusa movie for a long time that fell apart, and I think that would have been really cool, something like that. But I mean, I think like realistically, hopefully something's going to be done with Batman Beyond. I could see like a Into the Spider-Verse version. I don't know. I mean, I know nothing. But I would think like
a universe full of like really old, crabby Bruce Waynes.
I mean, sure, yes, yes. We get Michael Keaton, we get Val Kilmer.
That's right. You get all the old, get everybody.
We get George Clooney. We got.
That's right.
Man, we got so many. We got Kevin. Yeah, what didn't Flash? I don't watch CW shows, but didn't like the Flashpoint thing do like something with the Kevin Conroys and the. Like they brought in the different universes.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either, but
okay, I hear things, so yeah. But yeah, Chris is he's was character designer on Teen Titans Go, and he's done a lot of stuff. So he's one of the first people I met out here. He's really nice.
Oh well, hi Chris.
Welcome.
We'll have to have you on the show, Chris.
Yeah.
Give us a call. Here's another question from Carla, who asks, do you believe that every cartoonist needs to find their niche in the industry?
I hope not, because I haven't found mine yet. No, I mean, like I was saying, like I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. Yeah. Now, I do think like you can get not pigeonholed, but I mean, like I think it's probably good to like have kind of something you're known for, but I think you need to be good at a few different things, and I do worry that I'm like. Well, I can do character designs and I can draw pretty girls, but like, eventually I might need another skill. So I think it's good to like kind of have a broader, tool belt, broader range, broaden your horizons. I don't know, cliches.
Well, I would like to ask you quickly, because we started the conversation with you talking about one of your old gigs and you doing caricatures at Six Flags, and that might sound really wild to some people, but I think you learned a lot about.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I definitely did.
Can you talk
Steven Silver did that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and I, like sometimes, like I'm drawing Angela Lansbury a lot this month because it's like going to be her 95th birthday. So I've been like doing caricatures. I'm not like a caricature artist, but I think like knowing having that in your tool belt is good, and I can do it live. So like worst case scenario, I'm going to go like work at a theme park. But I mean, I'm not like great at it, but I can fake it. And we airbrush too, and I suck at airbrushing. So, and it was 1,000 degrees every day because it's in Atlanta and it's outside.
Ugh.
So that was, and I was the only chick. Well, there was one other girl, and she was at the other end of the park, and it was a bunch of dudes with like no teeth, and like, yeah, it was a bunch of dudes that like drank all day and no teeth and drawing characters, and they'd always.
Oh, I thought those were the people you had to draw.
Oh yeah, because you know what's funny is people would sit down and they're like, "Make me pretty," and they're like the ugliest people, and I'm like, you know, this is a caricature, right? Like it's supposed to be funny. Like I would never sit down for. I want you to jack me up. I mean, I have a huge forehead. I have like really little lips. I've got like, I mean, like make this stupid looking, but people get mad, and I'm just like, do you not understand the part? But I do draw cutesy naturally, so I would always get like cutesy ones. Like I wanted to be able to do the ones where you're just like teeth or you know throwing gang signs and stuff. I would ones.
there was a caricature artist that I follow. I forget his name, and his whole gimmick was that he would draw people grotesque.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's I follow a bunch of caricature artists that I mean.
Right, like he just went totally left field with it, and people just they laugh so hard, like, oh my god, look at my face, that's amazing.
That's I think I mean I have some really funny ones that people have done to me, and I just like the ones that are like crazy. Like I never would want to sit, but you'd get people that got upset and stuff. So you know you kind of have to be able to. Now, I will say, working retail and doing caricatures and stuff has like helped me so much in life. Like I think everybody should like work retail for a few years. People suck, but you know there's some you need to learn to like navigate that. You know, I've been spit at before. Like you just gotta like learn to like sell yourself. You know, it helps with confidence. So I think everybody should like work retail. That's my
so you've already won the lottery because you're sitting there, you're getting to draw cool stuff, and nobody's spitting at you.
Nobody's spitting at me. Every time I'm like my parents are real like funny and like rednecky, and they're like, you know, you could be out there digging ditches, and I'm like, you're right, I get to draw cartoons every day.
Right, that's always an alternate. You could be busting rocks with a hammer.
I know, yeah, exactly. Like get perspective. Like when you know. I work with a bunch of artists and we're all sensitive and like I'm you know and everybody's like complaining and stuff and I'm just like we can draw cartoons, but you know again it is a business, we shouldn't like let people take advantage of us, but again sometimes you just need perspective.
Well, I think that's really important. It's also really important for the younger versions of ourselves to hear that stuff, because I know one of the things Instagram and all this stuff is great, but it also shows the sort of like glammy side of things where you don't really see how things are. And so people have this idea of what the business is, but they're only seeing this side of the screen. They're not seeing...
sometimes you are a rock star and you get a job like straight out of college and like everything. I mean, and that's nothing wrong with that. I work with like 20-year-olds who are like awesome and just stuff, but sometimes you gotta sell a lot of barbecue grills. Like, you know, it just takes a long time. So, and you got to keep drawing every single day. Like that is even though I was working retail, I had a sketchbook. I was drawing on my lunch breaks. I went to lynda.com, signed up, taught myself Photoshop, taught myself Illustrator. You know, you gotta have like, I'd say, you know, it's who you know, blah, 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 but it's 90% hustle, determination, which I think this generation's really good at like hustling. So, you know, And
the business used to be more seasonal. Now because of the COVID thing, because I know guys when I got in older than me, you would work 6 months and then you'd be off for 6 months. So you're looking to hop on another show. They'd hop off a show to try to jump on. I'm
scared because I haven't had to do that. You know, I've been in it for like 5 years now, but like I was on Archer the whole time, and then I was on this, and I've been on this since 2017, the end of 2017. So, and I haven't had I mean, that's normal. Break. Yeah, and I'm like worried, but I mean, like everybody's like, oh, that's normal. You know, you just hop from show to show. But in my head, I'm like,
Right.
like,
Well, and that's part of it, right? It's like,
yeah.
we all like either like Mike and some of the other people that I'm friends with, or in the business, and I have some friends who are in animation in LA, and the whole schism of having these really exciting jobs is that they're only around for a while. And you're always in this cycle of shit. What am I going to do next? What's the next?
And sometimes, like, thing? I know there was a show at Nickelodeon, and I mean, I'm sure people know this, but like, they said, put your pencils down, get out. They don't. You got to walk out now because we don't want you deleting things on the server. You gotta like. Sometimes shit just like ends. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're listening. I'm trying not to cuss. But sometimes it happens. Yeah, sometimes like stuff just ends, and you're. I mean, like, knock on wood. That hasn't happened yet, but I mean, I'm sure it will be. I'll be on a project sometime that's gonna just like, and it's not, your fault or anything.
Right.
So
can you talk quickly, and we're going to start wrapping up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know.
No. This is great, and we could. We like long interviews. We can really get to the meat. But maybe talking a little bit about how the studio reacted when all of this like COVID stuff really started popping off. Was there a little bit of a gap between, okay, let's just kind of ride this out and just don't touch anything in the bathroom versus, all right, you guys got to go and grab the Cintiq on your way out? Yeah. Like, how did that transition work for you guys?
Well, at first they were like, if you want to work, this was like the beginning of March. Like late February, beginning of March. They were like, if you want to work at home, you can go home. That's totally fine. And then by mid-March, they were like, we're closing shop. And now I like being around people. I mean, I'm kind of antisocial, but I also like, I get bored of being in my house. I don't know. I like being around people. Right. So it was an adjustment for me. But like, I mean, I'm used to it now. You don't have a choice, but, yeah, like at first they were, and then they were like, oh, maybe by like, I think when it shut down in March, they were like, maybe by like June. And then by June, they were like, not this year. So I was like, okay. So yeah, we're not going back this year. And I know it's like on the Animation Guild, like Facebook page, like who knows what the future is going to hold? Like this is going to be a big change in the industry. Like, is everybody going to work from? I mean, are they going to see like, maybe it's cheaper if everybody works at home? But then that opens like the unions up, like so now you're gonna have like competition from like everywhere, So not that I want to say you have to. LA is very expensive. I'm from Mississippi, and it is the poorest state. I'm living in like my rent's like $2,000 a month, or more than that, and it's crazy, and it's expensive out here.
Yeah,
it is super expensive out here. I thought Atlanta was expensive. Atlanta is like nothing compared to this. But I live in like a nice area. Right. So yeah, it's gonna be different.
Just I don't know live in a rusted old Ford, down in the LA River.
My dad was like, we could get you a refrigerator box. You could just like draw windows on it. I mean, my parents are great. They're so funny. My parents got to visit us recently. They'd never been out to California or to LA, and they loved it, and it was fun having them out here. Like it's I never thought I'd be in California. I mean, when I moved out here, I was like, I'd never been out here, so I was like, this is like, when I drove out here from Atlanta, and when I saw my first big cactus on the side of the road, I got out and took a picture. I was like, this is the craziest thing. So now I'm used to it. But yeah.
That'd be a bit of a culture shock coming.
For real. I mean, Atlanta was a big city. I liked Atlanta a lot, but it's different. Yeah, it's real different.
The mindset's different. The energy is different.
Yeah, very. Yeah. I'm like definitely the most liberal. I mean, my parents love me. We're all great, but I'm like the crazy liberal aunt that's like with pink hair that lives out in California. But yeah,
that's great. And that's and even me, like we're from the East Coast and just kind of butting up against buddies of ours who are on the West Coast. It's just like the energy is so different. Even like conventions I've been to. I like going to Heroes Con and Dragon Con and stuff. But even like I went before COVID.
I hadn't did much out here, but it's like a lot different. You know, I don't know.
Did you ever go to New York Comic Con out here?
No, did not. I got in last year, but then with the show, it got too busy and I couldn't go and stuff. And now, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mike?
Yeah. I was gonna say I did spend, I guess, about a month worth of time last summer because Mimi was taking those classes over at CDA in Pasadena, so I got to spend some time out there. And it's very nice, but it is a different rhythm. I think also because it's an industry town, so you have that part, but then you sort of have the people in California where it's more, they're kind of like a little bit more, they're kind of laid back. So you have the high speed. I'm in Hollywood doing thing.
Like, I don't know if I'd want to live here forever. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm fine right now. This is great, but I don't. I mean, I'm not gonna like be buying. Well, number one, I couldn't afford a house, but I'm not gonna be. I don't know. Like, I really liked Atlanta. Like, so maybe with COVID, who knows what the future? You know, like if we're all remote. But see, I don't know. I'm not. So you're kind of in limbo right now. So
yeah. I think everybody. I don't think anybody can really figure out where we're going to be because Netflix, everybody's building. Everybody's doing more animation. Animation's really doing really
knock
well.
On wood, I think. And there's a new streaming service every time you turn around. So you know you got to be doing stuff for all these streaming services.
Right. Yeah. I think the thing is that for a lot of young people coming out of college, you can get an internship or work on a show without the expense of moving to LA.
Yeah.
It's not as good as being in a room with everybody else, but it's better than having to get 10 people to live in an apartment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh. And it's so, I don't know how you could move out here I mean, my husband he worked at Walmart. So, you know, there's a Walmart dang near everywhere. So that's how we were able to like move to Atlanta and move here, you know.
Yeah.
So you could just transfer to a Walmart.
Yeah.
Well,
so
that's interesting that they allow people.
Yeah, they've been, knock on wood, they've been really good about that. And like you get a health insurance through. I mean, now I have it through the guild, but I mean, I didn't have health insurance for. I mean, if he didn't work at Walmart, you know, I didn't get glasses till I moved out here because we couldn't afford them. You know, so like,
wow, that's real.
Wow,
you know,
wow. So how many hours a day how do you break that up now? Because being at home, things just kind of, you know,
you're at home, right? Yeah.
Oh wait, you froze up. I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said, how do you work out your day being home? Because you know, when you go to the studio, you're in at 9 and you leave 5 or 6 or whatever.
We have Microsoft Teams, and we do so like number one, they can chat you at any time. So I mean, I do sit at my computer from like 9 to 6. I mean, I take a break for lunch. So I mean, like I'm here, you know. I let them know when like I've had to run out to the pharmacy or whatever, and I'll be like, "Hey guys, I'm like going." You know, they probably don't even care, but like, you know, I just let them know because it's good to know. And then we have scheduled meetings. Like we have since I'm a lead, I'm in like 4 meetings a week or something. It's not that many. They last like 30 minutes or something, but we do have meetings, you know. So I mean, I treat it like, and I think that's important. Any kind of like, even if you're like unemployed or something, like, which you know, a lot of the times you might be, you need to have a schedule. Don't see a lot of people with COVID. They're probably staying up really late. I used to do that in my 20s or whatever. In my 30s now, I'm wiser. Like 10 o'clock, I'm like, it's time to go. You know, our time to start taking a shower or whatever.
Well, that's a good question because a lot of our comic book friends and Mike and I talk about doing all-nighters all the time. But because you have a studio job, is there an impetus for you to either maybe get more sleep because you have a schedule you're keeping? Or
I mean, like I try to. Well, and then you know, I want to draw my own and stuff. So you know, I try to do that a few hours after work and stuff every night. I mean, a lot of people who have studio jobs like don't draw on their free time at all. Like I know I have friends like, you know, 6 o'clock they don't draw.
Right, that's they're off. Right,
yeah. I mean,
pencils down, right? Pencils down.
Yeah, which nothing's wrong with that, but that's just not how, I am. I mean, I like to, draw in my free time. I don't have any talents. I can't sing, I can't dance, but all I know how to do is draw. So that's what I do in my free time.
I love it.
And I like to go to antique stores, but I cannot do that because we are in the hellscape of 2020. So I don't have any, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
so,
I guess it's hard to go antiquing when the sky's on fire.
Yeah, right? You can priorities in order. Yeah,
I bought it. It burned up by the time I got home.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, so I think it's good to have it's healthy, number one. And I've actually lost weight during the pandemic because we've been eating at home. I've not been like going to Whole Foods every day because it was like right next door to my work.
Yeah.
And so we've been eating at home. I've exercised more because we have the little gym in our apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still chunky, but I'm doing good.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to try to, so the pandemic's been terrible in some ways and kind of good in other ways. I don't know. So
I agree with that. I think people took two different tacks. Either you're going to just shut down and just watch Netflix all week long, or you're going to maybe use this time to kind of, better yourself in different ways. Yeah,
that's what, I did that pitch during the, I mean, I want to take a storyboarding class and stuff, but, but sometimes I've learned better, in a social environment. Some people don't. Some people don't need to go to school. Some people don't. That's a whole other conversation. But, I like to be around people. Sometimes I like to be around people. I get tired eventually, but
we're a lot alike. I'm like a people person. I still have a day job because I like the energy of being around other people.
Yeah, I get. I'm introverted, as in I'll eventually I don't want to go to the club or something, but I'm I like seeing people and stuff. So yeah.
Here's the last thing, and this is from Bill O'Donnell, who harkens back to the pre-COVID era. And Bill says, my only regret from last year was not getting something from Kat at Heroes Con last year.
And I can't even now that I'm out here, I'm am I going to go back to, because we flew to Heroes Con, and it's kind of expensive to ship all your crap and stuff. Man, I don't even know. And then Rico's not doing Heroes Con. He's not
he left that position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the story behind all of it, but he was one of my Rico's there, and but I mean, Brian there's a lot of other artists I love and stuff that go there. So yeah, I don't even know, man. I want to do Dragon Con again. I want to go outside.
Did you do Lightbox?
Yes, I did. Well, I did it the first year. This kind of made me a little grouchy. I got in the first year, which I was it's only been going on 2 years, and then I applied again. I mean, and it was great. It was my whole Instagram feed in one building. It was crazy. I was in the very back, but I was super excited. And then I applied again and I didn't get in, and they were like, oh, well, we want different people. But I was but all the main people who were there, they got back in last year. They got okay. But then it was, COVID. So then it was oh, well, you could be on the online one, but then I was actually busy. So, but whatever, I'm going to try to get into it again. So.
And have you been to CTN?
I didn't table, but I have attended. It was a lot of fun. It was really crowded. I was in the little building, but I had fun. I mean, so I didn't table, but I attended. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we run out of time here, what would you what words of sage advice would you give to the up and coming character and storyboard or the character design people? Things that a couple things that you wish that you had in your noggin when you started.
I would say draw every day, even if you don't feel like it. Draw in the sketchbook, draw from life, date your drawings so you'll know your progress. You can look back and be oh, that was sucked, or that's the day I figured that out. I would say network, but don't be obnoxious. But go to things like this, watch things like this. I I've had people message me like, and I try to always answer questions. The worst thing that can happen is they just never respond, or they, ignore you. I mean, like, what are you going to lose? Like, so ask people questions. If you're in school, bother your professors. That's what they're getting paid for. I wish, like when I got straight A's and like went back to my room and watched Naruto and drew, but like you need to actually like, you need to like be bothering your professors. You're paying X amount of money. You don't need to be making just straight A's. You need to be like networking. Like not in an obnoxious way where you're bothering somebody, but like, you want to keep your thinking cap on and your ears open and be listening to people and learn from their experiences. So I get I don't know.
And also, I would also tell people that everybody in art school, you have to try hard to get a C, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And A's do not translate into a job.
Yeah. Oh my God. Exactly. It doesn't matter. Yeah. If you're antisocial and a jerk, no one's gonna want to work with you. And if you think you're hot snot, you might be hot snot in your little tiny pond, but when you get out into the big world, you don't matter. I mean, like, and even if you're great, you still might not matter. I mean, like there's people who are leads who like can barely draw. Like, so sometimes you got to be able to like not hustle, but you gotta like be able to like sell yourself, I mean, I've had people ask me like, is social media a good thing for artists and stuff? I'm like, it's a free tool. Why would you not? I mean, like every big job I've ever gotten has been through social media, and I don't even like social media, but you got to use it. I mean, like, that's just, it's 2020. What you doing? You can get on, know. Like, I mean, back in the olden days, no, you needed to move to a big city or something. I don't know, but you gotta get on the internet now. So, yeah.
And I guess there are always people that could kind of ply their trade just doing cons or doing, get in the car, drive to another town and sell stuff. But even that, you still need an internet presence.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, the question is, like, why wouldn't you? Like, what would be I mean, yeah, time sunk, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing is, like, you only have so much time on the planet. But, like, why wouldn't you try to, create an online presence or, have a website, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean, you really have to have it now because, I mean, I've known Shane and those guys from way back when the internet first started. And part of his success too came from having his cartoon retro and things like that and networking with people.
Yep.
I mean, it sounds like you were really good and probably naturally good at networking with people. Some people are, and some people are really shy, and they have a hard time talking with people.
Yeah, I'm not natural at it. I've gotten better. I mean, like, I'm not, like, I remember, like, when DeviantArt was, get the big thing, and, like, people like Sean Galloway or somebody that's, like, I think natural at it. Like, I've had to kind of, like, I mean, and my skill levels, like, my style's changed a lot over the years. My skill level, like, to me, my Instagram looks like 30 different people drew it sometimes. I mean, people say like it looks consistent, but to me, it does not look consistent. But okay, so you need to like be able to build a brand and of yourself, I guess.
So is that where you are now? Would you say you're in the brand building stage?
I hope so. I don't know. Because I've had like bumps in the road, of course, but I haven't had like, since I've been out here, knock on wood, I haven't had like the major bump yet. So I'm like, any second now, like the house of cards is going to come tumbling down and we'll see how. And I have a friend who's like, she tells me all the time, she's been in the industry for like 15, 20 years. And she tells me, oh, like, you're so popular. You've got so many friends. You're going to find a job after this show. Don't worry. And I'm like, how do you know? So I don't know. Yeah.
I think that uncertainty and just maybe kind of like a anxiety about what's next kind of keeps you moving, right? It
does. I mean, I don't ever want to stop learning. Like, if I could afford it and be in school every single day of my life, I would be in school every single day of my life. I love learning stuff. But I don't have time or money or whatever. So yeah, I like learning. Like, I never want to, and I don't know anything, so I need to learn. So, you know.
Well, you were talking about learning 3D, which seems like that's kind of like the next thing everybody sort of has to.
We're going to be watching
at least be familiar
in virtual reality. We're going to be like walking through what is it, Quill or whatever, where you're like walking in. That is the future. I mean, not that version maybe, but like
all that augmented reality stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be like walking in stuff soon, so we need to get ready. And like storyboard artists for 3D, like I have a friend who does storyboard for VR, which I mean, like what? But he makes like bank because like how many people are doing that? You know,
right. It's a very small number.
Yeah, I was just reading about they just released a new Star Wars game, and they were reviewing it in the Washington Post, and I guess it's a VR Star. You know, you can be in an X-wing or a TIE fighter or whatever.
That would probably make me throw up.
You know? Yeah. You know, but I guess that's where everybody's moving.
Yeah, I
mean, you know,
yep. I mean, eventually,
you'll be in your cartoon.
Theaters are going to probably die, and it's going to be like going to a play or something. Like we're going to be, you know, I don't know what the future. This is going to have big ramifications that we haven't even like considered yet. So
I just saw, and Kat, we're going to let you go, but I just saw this. I got this ping about AMC theaters are going to start allowing people to rent out a theater for $99.
Oh my God! Well, we're gonna watch John Carpenter's The Thing every weekend.
Well, like The Thing, and it had like theaters that were available by state. So I just wanted to see if any of my places in Philly were one, and they were. And there's like a list of movies that you can watch.
And you could play Star Wars and have all your friends.
Oh
and get the Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Yeah, but just 20 people. That's the max.
I don't have 20 friends. I don't have 20 friends like, in real life.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. All right,
no, that's crazy. I mean, and me and my husband, we go to the movies. Like that has been another hard thing. Is like the movies, but that's a whole nother.
Well, in LA is great for that because they probably have always got great stuff playing. And
my husband's taken John Carpenter's The Thing is like my favorite movie, and I've gotten to see it 2 or 3 times since we've been out here in the Cinerama Dome, which is like the circular one, and I'm just like, oh, I love it. It's just great. Yeah, it's fun being out here.
So where can people look you up? I know that on Instagram.
I have an Instagram. I'm pretty much Kat Hudson Art, like KATHUDSON Art on everything, like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I have a Patreon, but there is naked pinups on it. Sometimes mom and dad, sorry, you know, topless ladies. Sorry, but so I made it so it's over. I mean, there's nothing like it's probably like PG-13, maybe R. But like I made it so that it's like you have to be 18 to like, you know,
see those, yeah.
Just because, you know, it has nudity. So so I have a page that's my pinup and Patreon and yeah.
Well, we've had a great time talking to you, Kat.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it, and we're not keeping you from peeing or anything. Like
I peed beforehand. I peed in a bottle down here. You didn't even know.
That's our prerequisite. You got to take care of that before you get on the podcast.
Oh, that's funny. No, I'm good. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope that we'll return in the near future. This was great.
It was great talking to y'all. So and I hope if anybody has any questions, they can always message me or whatever, you know. So I try to
awesome.
I try to help out students when I can and stuff. You know, sometimes it takes me a while to get back to people.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
Great.
Well, thanks so much, and we'll give you back to your evening. So thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all have a good evening.
You too.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, she ejected herself. I didn't even get the chance. I wanted to.
He wanted the power. You were robbed.
She took it from me. We was robbed. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Pencil to Pencil is one of, and Mike, I hear this a lot. A highlight of a lot of people's weeks. Like a lot of people look forward to this. You know, the family of podcasting things like my coffee breaks that I throw through the Pencil to Pencil Facebook page and Pencil to Pencil a couple of times every week. And, I like the familial aspect of it. I love hearing questions from our regulars, and I think that's super cool that everybody is getting something from every guest, which are always a little different in scope or scale or tone. So what do you think about our meter of guests lately, Mike?
Well, I mean, this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to have a cross section of artists who are doing all kinds of different things, because that's the thing, is that not everybody's going to do character design or comics or storyboards to help you find your place. And there's so many. The other thing about comics versus animation, when you buy a comic, you see my name on it, right? When you work in animation, you don't see the people's names except usually at the end. Sometimes certain shows will say directed by or storyboard by, but very often, people don't know unless you're really into it. You're serious, then So I also like to feature people who are sort of behind the scenes, and it just gives people. I think you want to have choices. You want to know what are your choices as an artist, especially for the younger artists. What are the choices? Where can I go? What am I interested in? Oh yeah, that sounds interesting. So I'm really like, and I like all kinds of different art myself. So I just love talking to different artists about their creative process. I find that endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, our good buddy Colleen says, I really appreciate the diversity of your guests and the projects they work on. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah,
that's really sweet. So we're going to give a quick plug to our Saturday guest. On the 17th, we're going to have animation director and illustrator Phil Alora on. I'm really excited to talk to Phil. And Mike, you know Phil pretty well, and I kind of know him from the periphery, but I've always been a fan of his work.
Yeah, I've known Phil. It's funny, I don't know him super, super well, but we're in a 20-year long chat group that we were friends with. And then it's funny because my buddy Scott was actually in class at SVA with Phil. So it's funny how you get to know people, you bump into people, you get to know people. And the other thing about animation that's probably also a little bit different than comics is that you know somebody over here and then you meet them 20 years over here, right? So there's people I started working with at Warner Brothers in '96 when I started. They're all over. Some people are DreamWorks, you bump into them again. So that's the other thing about the business, is that there's, everybody's moving. You're working on a show. The show's going to end. You're going to go off and get on another show. You get another combination of people. That show ends. You go over, work some other place.
It's kind of like sailors. You never know when you're going to bump into somebody on a boat.
Yeah. Which is also why it's really important to be a nice person. Because if you're an asshole, people will remember that asshole. They'll remember you. And then they'll go to work at another place. And when your name comes up, if you're an asshole, they go, so and so.
Yeah. We throw a name. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what you want is you actually want, like Kat was saying, you want the opposite. You want when people go to the other place. Oh yeah, I met someone. Yeah. Because it's all about networking. It really is. It's all about your talent opens the door. Your professionalism keeps the door open and allows you to network with other people.
I like that. Yeah, it's true.
But so you want to keep that.
And I think the people looking from the outside, it sounds like nepotism or some sort of like in, right? But it's kind of just how the game works, right? And it doesn't have to be fake or phony. It's just time in on the job and making good connections with people, and that stuff does pay dividends in the future.
All right. Well, the other thing is you always have to remember this is a business.
Yeah.
We look at it from our passion as artists, but it's a business. And if they're hiring you to come in and work on a job and you cannot deliver, they may like you. They may like your work. They may think you're a wonderful person. You can't turn in what I need when I need it. They're going to get somebody else.
Right. You got to go.
And, you know, right. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who brush up against that, right? Brush up against that kind of thing. And maybe it's your personality, you know, maybe, you know, you're good 4 days of the week, but that 5th day, you're just like, you're really fucked up and you can't do it. You know, you're just really, you're burning, you know, you're burning everybody's rice. So again,
don't burn my rice, fam.
Yeah. You know, I mean, everybody is, you know, you have to take that into consideration that you are a professional working in a business that's making other people a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. And you're providing a service, which is your art or your creativity, so that they can make $100 million.
Right.
Right. And if you're a wrench that's clogging up the gears, you know,
you gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because making art is not like changing a tire. You know, you change a tire kind of the same way every time, you know. But making art is not like that. It's a little bit different, you know. Some things are easier, some things are harder. But yeah, I really wanted to talk to Kat because I really thought that what she was doing was fresh. Also, there's more female voices in the business that are also doing action shows, which I think is really awesome. And that's kind of new. So it's interesting to see those voices and what they're bringing to the stage, you know. And I we're just in the beginning of that. I think really, you know, like where we're going to be in 20 years from now, because those people will be influencing the 10-year-old now.
Yeah.
That's watching that show. And where that 10-year-old is going to be in 10 years, it's going to be graduating from school. Right. And so they're going to have a whole different idea of what is possible for them than even people 10 years ago. So
that's scary, Mike Manley.
Go ahead. No.
I'm going to leave you with this quote. Colleen just quoted me. Colleen was one of my assistants back in the day. And I imparted a lot of wisdom on these poor students. They're kind of
you gave them some thought Johns.
Yeah, some thought Johns, or a captive audience that I would kind of talk at. And Colleen pulled this quote: "Don't burn any bridges because you'll never know when you might need to cross it again." It
really is true. You know, you may get to a point in your life where something blows up, and you might need, you need to find a job. You need a reference, and your network, your time in is going to be that lifeline that you need. So yeah. And if you burn people and you burn them bad, they'll be happy to burn you back any chance you get.
Yeah. So watch your back, cousin. All right, let's go home. This has been a great episode. Thanks again to Kat Hudson for taking time out from her evening in LA to talk to us on the East Coast. The power of the internet compels us. So we're going to say goodnight. Thank you, Tim. Tim says you guys are an inspiration. Love your show. Good night. Thank you. Bless. So for my best bud, Mike Manley, who's hovering in the cloud, Brett Blevins, I'm Jamar Nicholas. This has been Pencil to Pencil. We'll see you on oh shit. Come on, man. We'll see you on Saturday. Remember, wash your Kirby hands. Yeah, buddy. Good night.